Yes.
Okay. All right. So now y'all can see my screen. And they can see my screen. All right. So now we all on the same page. All right. So Erica, once you get in there, let me log out because it automatically logs me in. All right. So you go har.com, press that login. They're gonna do consumer login, Realtor Pro login. You would click on there. And then you put your credentials in there. Make sure you got Realtor Pro. Boom. And then you just log in. All right, so there we go. So now you're in there. All right, so now as it relates to doing comps, because so there's a difference between the MLS and HAR. So the two separate entities. HAR just kind of houses it. Well, to get to the MLS, once inside of HAR, you're gonna go to Intermatrix MLS. Is where you're gonna go. You can click it right here, or you can click this button here. So either one of them gonna take you to the MLS. All right. So now, before we do that though, there are some matrix trainings that you could take advantage of. I'm gonna see if I can try to find them. It's under education. Let's see if I can find them real quick. Maybe it's under right here, tools. It says training. Oh, right here. Let's say consumer tools. It's not.
Does HR or MLS have their own like live trainings?
Yeah. Training. Here it is. Yeah. I got you, Jess. Appreciate it. So yeah, they have their own. So I just had to make my screen smaller. When you look on that left side, click on training, and then click on training again. So you have real estate course finder. So the MLS has matrix class, like type in matrix. And then you can see all of these different matrix overviews. They even have a CMA Price It Right matrix class. So I would encourage, even after what we're doing here, to go and look at those web videos to learn some more about what we're talking about. And then it'll be real good for you, Eric, is because it's going to help you. Now, did y'all use Matrix in Louisiana?
Yes, we use Matrix.
All right, so in essence, you're already gonna know what to do then. It's the same.
I'm gonna say once you pull it up, if it looks the same, I'm good. I mean, I'm gonna stay on, but I'm good.
Yeah. It's the same.
Oh, but no, I'm not gonna say that because maybe the practice might be different here. You know, I'm learning.
the things that
y'all
we take into consideration.
Y'all do some different stuff.
All right. Well, for Tempest, Shantae, this is where you guys can go and look at classes on it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, Matrix. I'm also going to log into Serum because I did some work. I already did some trainings on that as well. All right, so that's the Thinkific.
Mhm.
Right. So if you go to your Thinkific, sign into that. All right, so under, I believe, successfully scheduling the consultation. No, I think skill set 4 is where I did it. That's it. All right, so preparing the seller. Let's see. So I want to say the preparing for the seller, the very first one, is where I deal with pricing kind of like my analysis of when I'm doing CMAs, like what I think through. It's pretty much going to be similar to what we talk about today, maybe with some couple of nuances, but I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of what I think about, what I think through when I'm pricing somebody's home, or the things that I take into consideration and how I utilize the tool. All right, the good thing is that as we go through the process, we actually have an address that we're going to be able to utilize from one of our agents who's about to pick up a listing, right? So Tempest is going to share that with us, and we're going to actually go through the process of coming up with a price.
Okay.
All right, and through that, I'm going to be able to speak through the things that I take into consideration when pricing it. All right, and if y'all have any questions of my process and how I'm doing it, y'all just stop me. All right. All right.
Oh,
So
yes, it's the exact same.
it's the exact same. So look, now you super excited, huh, Eric? You like, I know how to use this.
Yeah, I got it.
I know how to use this tool. All right, well, you still got to stay on because you may have some insights that you can offer.
Okay.
All right. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to start at search, not search. Yes, that's what
Search,
we
single
start at
family,
search.
if it's a single family.
Yeah. So we want to start at search, right? And depending on what kind of property it is. So if it's a single family, we're going to search utilizing single family. If it's a townhouse, or if it's a condominium, then we're going to utilize townhouse condominium. If it's multifamily, we're going to do that. If it's rental, if it's land, right? Now, in some instances, I would look at all properties, because all properties allows you to pick. So if I'm trying to compare single family house and townhomes, like if I'm in an area and I want to know kind of what the complete activity of that area is. So I want to know what single families are selling for. I want to know what townhouses are selling for. I want to know what things are renting for. I want to know what the land is selling for. Like I want to know all of it. For you to be able to do that, you got to click all properties, right? And then it allows you the ability to choose which ones you want to have included or not. If I just click single family, then all I can search is single family. And I typically go with quick single family. Quick single family.
What's the difference between quick and classic?
They offer the same information, but it's just organized differently. So I'm more familiar with how it's organized using quick versus how it's organized using classic. So like we go to quick single family, it's only, I don't have an option to add any other kinds of properties to it. Yeah, so that's quick single family. But if you did classic, this is how it looks with classic. So this is the one it's just like I said, Eric, it's the same information. It's just oriented differently. So I like the way it is oriented with the quick one, with that stuff at the top.
See, the classic one is what I'm used to. I will use the classic.
And you will use the classic because that's what I'm familiar with. But it all has the same information. Okay. But notice how it's not on here. Now, if I go to all properties and click, now it gives me the option to pick my property type. So now I can do an analysis to give me an idea of what's going on or activity for everything, single family, townhouse, and all of that, right? Okay, so we're actually going to use this one, right? So I can maybe throw in some of the other elements for y'all to see when we're taking it into consideration. All right. Okay, so what's the address?
10102 New Dale,
Okay.
Here in Houston, 77099.
All right, so now this is a practice that I do. I don't know, you may or may not do it. I am curious to know what Zillow has as the price. So before I get started, I usually, I'll go to Zillow and see what the Zestimate is. And then I'll also go to RPR and see what that part is. Erica, when you're doing them, do you ever look at Zillow? Do you ever go to Zillow?
No, Zillow is like
You don't even be curious though?
no. Because the reason why, because it's like we want to constantly deter our clients from doing that.
And I have to agree with her. I don't think I've ever gone.
Because they want to argue down that they're the expert. And I'm like, no, I'm the expert. Zillow is not the expert.
Yeah, I'm with her. I don't think I've ever gone to Zillow either.
You ain't gone to Zillow either, said? So y'all
No,
curious what that,
I
y'all
tell
are
you,
like,
that information is not accurate, so I'm not even going to look, because I'm the expert. I'm the
it's new
professional.
to you?
Now I did it when I listed my own house just to see how much Zillow was off. Because I knew it was off.
Cedric,
But,
was it all
He
Cedric?
actually
Oh, it was
put
off. It was off.
on open
Right,
I
house.
sold it for a lot more.
We not even going to entertain Zillow.
I say y'all get Zillow no love.
We're not entertaining. Zillow trying to take over our industry, and that's just not going to happen.
Don't be like that, man. What they say, keep your enemies, keep your friends close and your enemies close. You
Well,
gotta
you let me know, Michael, then. Well, you keep us informed.
keep y'all informed of how Zillow rocking.
All right. I don't even like the way Zillow look. I don't even like they set up. I don't even like the
But he also has something with his house that isn't on there, because that's from when he purchased it. Since he's purchased it, he like added a whole.
He's added stuff.
Wow.
He's okay. So say that out loud so everybody can hear. So she's saying that he's added. So it's a 5-bedroom.
It's a 5-bedroom. He added another, so that makes it 6.
Well, no, it say 4-bedroom here.
No, he had 2. I'm sorry.
So he added 2 bedrooms. How much square footage did he add?
He doesn't really know.
I bet he don't.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
My next question would be, is it permitted?
they had.
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, because he had a lot of family members moving. As a matter of fact, his niece comes to our meetings to translate for him. So there's a lot of them living there. So he's added to them.
All right. Well, Zillow got it at 252.6, and then they got the rental estimate at 2,149. Now I also go to NAR. Now this actually comes with you all signing up as well. So have y'all signed up for y'all NAR, RPR?
Yeah.
RPR?
Yeah.
NAR. So NARRPR.com. Y'all been here? Said you ever use this?
No. Yes.
I've been in it. It's been a while. It's been a
Okay.
while.
But you use that too? All right, and you familiar with it, Shante?
No.
No? All right, so NARRPR is really the National Association of Realtors' attempt to compete with Zillow. That's their attempt. So they doing their best, but they have what's called a RPR estimate. Wants to know your location. All right, that's fine. All right, welcome to RPR. All right, skip for now. All right, let's put the address in here. And RPR is it's a good tool. Thank you. All right, let's see what RPR say. That city got a pool. See, look, it even give you a different view of the property. Ooh, I see your RPR. Say they got something for Zillow. All right, let's see. So now, RVM, that's what they call it. So now the RVM for RPR is 198.40. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Erica, you ever use RPR?
No, I've never heard of that.
What? All right, let me school you then. Now you was a part of the association in Louisiana.
Yeah. No
All right,
more.
so-
New Orleans
so you-
Metropolitan.
Yeah, so you had access to it. They just never told you about it because it comes from your NAR membership. So RPR is like it was like the National Association of Realtors attempt to compete with with Zillow and as far as his numbers. So all you do is if you go to NARRPR.com, then it's gonna ask for your NAID, your NAIDS number, or I think it's NRDS number or whatever. And once you type that in there, then it's gonna give you access to the tools. And there's some pretty good tools in here as well that you can use. But they give like a automated valuation as well called an RVM. That's automatically generated. So they have theirs at 198.40. And they say they're super confident of their price. Now the square footage is different because on here it says 1825, and then Zillow square footage is 2930. So Tempest, which is right? Who knows, right? So Zillow, did you know Zillow square footage is at 2930? And then this
square footage that I got also was 2930.
All right, who he gave it to you?
Yeah, that's what he gave me, but this is before he told me that he added the room.
Okay.
So
All right.
he really doesn't know, he just added it to accommodate his family. So he was,
All right, so another place that you want to go to is you want to go to the tax records, right? So, you know, prior to, they've added some new ones through Matrix. If you go to public records, so you see,
Go to Realist.
yeah. So they have Realist, now they got Matrix Tax. And then you could always go old school, HCAD,
yeah.
HCAD.org.
Um,
But we're gonna go to Realist. I like Realist because Realist allows you to put multiple counties into it versus just one. You see right here, multiple counties selected. So in my Realist, I have Fort Bend, Galveston, Harris, Houston, Montgomery. I got all these counties in there. So now when I put an address in there, if it's in any of those counties, it's gonna pull up versus
What's the difference between Harris County and Houston? Is that two different?
those two different counties. Yeah. So Harris County, Houston, Texas is in Harris. Oh, well, you know, that's a good question. Unless Houston is a county. I think there is a Houston County.
There is a Houston County.
There is a Houston County. Who is that talking? Uh-oh, somebody who done hopped on here?
So Houston County is in Houston or is in another city?
Another city is in that county. So in Texas, Erica, counties are like parishes.
Yes, I know that, but where is Houston County?
Kim, where is Houston County?
Good question. I'm not exactly sure, but there is a Houston County in Texas.
So there's a Houston County.
Oh.
You know, Google, somebody ask Siri, she know everything. Houston County. I have heard of Houston County. Houston County.
Looks like it's on Crockett, Texas.
It is, county in Texas. Chica?
And Crockett.
Oh, there it is. So Crockett, Texas is in Houston County. Here's Houston County. All right, so it's over by Crockett. All right, so that's the difference. That answer that question, Eric?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
No. That's what this is about, girl. Ask some questions. You better ask some questions. Oh, they ain't gonna get answered. All right, but again, Realist. So you can go there. You can change the county. So any address that you pop in there, it's gonna come up. All right, so we're gonna put in this property 10102 new. Oh, it didn't do right. All right, 10102. Okay. Houston, Texas.
type it as one word, type New Deal as one word.
Look, you found it. All right, so here's the tax information. So you have that as well. So whenever I'm about to do some kind of pricing analysis, I like to have as much information as possible. I want to have all the info, right? So that's another reason why I go to all of those sites. Because I want to see what everybody is showing, right? I want to see what Zillow is showing. I want to see what RPR is saying. I want to see what the taxes is saying. I want to know as much information about the property as I can. Another thing is what it does is that when you go in there and you're talking to the seller, now you're speaking from a space of there's no angles that he can approach you with as it relates to information about the property, right? You know what it says on Zillow. Like he's not able to throw no surprises at you, no curveballs at you, because you've been to all those sites. You've seen everything. So whether you agree with what Zillow says or not, you need to at least know what it says, right? So you can rebuttal anything that they throw at you.
So being that he did upgrade, because this originally is 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath, is now 2 bedroom, 4 bath. Would he have had to like report that?
Yeah, he was supposed to get permits. Do you know if he got permits? Well, that's definitely something that I would ask.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're gonna, from a pricing standpoint, we're gonna assume the only thing that's hurting us right now, as far as the information that we don't have, is the square footage.
Yeah.
Right? Because when we're comparing properties, yeah, we're gonna compare based on bedroom size, but we also want to definitely compare based on square footage. What a lot of people don't realize is a lot of buyers would rather take a home that has less bedrooms, but the bedrooms are larger. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's important that we know what the square footage is as well. Sometimes it could be a major deterrent if you have a 4-bedroom home, say a 1,600 square feet, 4-bedroom home, where you know the bedroom's gonna be small, right? And then you might not have no living area, you might not have no areas for entertainment. So that's key as well.
Yeah. I have to, we haven't had a time to actually go and take a look,
Okay.
for myself.
Absolutely.
Like, home, but yeah, I have from what the information I was given, 6 bedrooms, 4 baths, 2 kitchens.
Okay. Eric, you got a question?
Yes, I didn't, it's like I can hear her, but it's kind of a little muffled, so I didn't hear her initial question when you asked about the permit, just to make
Okay.
sure I'm on topic. And then the other question was, when you out here in Houston, when you guys get a listing about it, do you guys measure the house yourself or you get it measured?
So most of the time we just go, it's encouraged that we do it, but I mean, I know when I wasn't doing it. I was going off of what the tax record had, but it is encouraged to do it. And I know for your situation, you're going to have to go in there so you can get a better idea of the square footage.
Was she saying that the house had an add-on?
Yeah, she was. So what her question was that with what her question was with him he added 2 rooms and a bathroom, right?
2 rooms, bathroom.
He added 2 rooms and 2 bathrooms. And her question was, would he have needed permitting? And absolutely, he'd have needed permitting. Now, a lot of times in Houston, the thing about the permit is that if the city comes by and they see that you're doing work and you don't have a permit, they red stop it, like you're done, right? But if you complete the job and they don't catch you, then it's done, right? You know what I'm saying?
It's already there, yeah.
So, but you know that you may get that question from a buyer. So what you want to do is you want to research, or you want to have validation that can't nothing happen now that the project's complete from a permit standpoint.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to go out and take a look, because I wanted to, just going by what he's saying, of course, he lives there. But, to just do that clarification check for myself.
Okay, and do me a favor, can you speak up a little bit, because they can't hear you. You're being so mild tone right now that the rest of the people can't hear what you're saying. You need to talk louder. It's not your way. You need to scoot close to the microphone here. You come sit right here. Sit in this chair so they can hear you.
Plus I have on my chakra bracelet. It's regulating me today.
Well, take it off. We don't need you regulated.
I need that balance.
Okay, so I do have a question. So she have to go in and do the measurements of the house for the new rooms that he added?
She needs to, so she can know how much to add to her square footage.
Okay.
Because like right now, she doesn't know how much she needs to add to her square footage. Right now, the square footage is 2930, but we know it's larger than that. Right, so even when she puts it on the MLS, she wants to get as close to what, because once the appraiser comes out and the
Right.
surveyor come out, that's when you're gonna get your true account of how much it is,
Right.
what the
okay.
size is, right? Okay, let's see. See, Kim said she got her Zillow stopped. Let's go Zillow. All right, so I have all my information up. All right, so now let's jump into the search a little bit. I would do what I typically do, and said Erica, and even Kim, I would be interested to know how you all start. I typically start by putting the address of the house, and I start with like a mile radius of where the house is. That's what I do. So I'm gonna go here, 101, 02.
That's exactly what I do. So typically I would start within 1 mile.
Mm-hmm.
I would typically start within 1 mile.
Okay. I do like
How-
0.25 miles.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And now let me tell you why. All right, so this is
I
why.
have to say that now. Okay, go ahead. You tell me why.
All right, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm not really concerned. Oh, first let me go back. All right. Another thing you got to do is it's gonna automatically start you at active.
Mm-hmm.
See this. I want to see the stuff that's under contract. So I look at option pending and pending continue to show and pending. And then I want to look at sold, and I go back the last 6 months. That's what I want to look at.
Yeah. Now I do active, pending, and so I do all of them. But when in terms of my actual comp, I go off of the numbers that's what's been sold, because that's the true, because pending is not gonna tell you what the house is pending for. You're not gonna know that till it's sold.
Right. But you want to know, Erica, and and this is just my philosophy. You want to know what you're going to be competing against. Because if I go back 6 months and I look at a house, say I'm gonna say 230,000, and my solds are telling me 230,000, but there's a comparable house to mine that's on the market currently for 210. Well, I may not be. It ain't really about that 230. It's about what I'm competing against.
That's true, but the point is, if the house was listed at 210 and it's showing pending, you still don't know what is under contract for. It could be under contract for 225.
Well, I'm saying active though. I still need to know what my active properties are. If it's active,
Well, yeah, because active shows you the trend.
yeah.
That you're right. It shows you kind of the trend of where it's going. Is the sales price going kind of up or down?
Right.
So that's a factor. It is.
Yeah. So
we're on the same page.
Yeah. So I pull all of them. So I pull all of them. I go 0.25 miles. When I click on results, I'm not really caring about this list right here. I'm caring more of this map. Right. So what I really want to see where my property is and see about the vicinity of where my property is and what's around. Because a lot of times I'll even do this.
Mm-hmm.
So now I know where my property is. No, that's not what I do. Oh,
I was gonna say, because now you took away all of the comp. You took away.
Yeah. Look at me. I forgot how to do it.
I was about to say, I never used the map just because I could never work the thing. I could never work it. Now they trained us, but I just never got it right. Just never can use it.
I did it wrong. Hold on. All right, let's try this again.
Probably got to go back to criteria, yeah. And put results back again.
That's 1, 02. New.
You know, as you type in, it'll give you, you know, options. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to map. What did I used to do? Because what I used to do, I would keep that, and then I would, well, what I'm a widen it out, but I want to explain something first. All right, so now when you're looking at this map, because I would always look at map, all right? What this map is telling us is that this house is in a particular subdivision, right? So, you know, one thing that Erica talked about earlier was trends. Trends is what you're really looking for when you're trying to figure out these prices, right? Well, the reality is that the trend has boundaries most of the time, and the boundaries are found within the actual subdivision. So like this is in a huge subdivision. With this being in a huge subdivision, what you'll find sometimes is that what houses on one side of the subdivision, how they're performing is different than houses on the other side of the subdivision. Because like what some people do, they'll just type in a subdivision and then they'll run their comps based off the entire subdivision. And if you do it that way, then you're gonna miss if there's trends within the subdivision, right? So, and then again, you wanna do it that way is because when you're talking to your client, they're gonna come at you and be like, well, so-and-so house over so-and-so sold for this amount. But then when you're looking at which side area the house is in, you're like, well, that ain't what I'm coming up with. You're gonna have to be able to explain to them, well, the reason that your neighbor sold their house for this amount and why we can't sell yours for this amount is because this is what's happening. This is how the neighborhood's performing. These are the parameters. You know, houses that are on the other side of the clubhouse sell for more than houses on this side of the clubhouse, or houses that are closer to this main thoroughfare are not as expensive as the ones that are deeper into the neighborhood, you know, and then you try to identify what's the reason or the rationale, right? So the reason I go to the map first, Eric, is so I can get an idea of how the subdivision is laid out. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I'm going to have to learn to use the map because I don't know the city like that here. Like in New Orleans, we don't have as many subdivisions. We have neighborhoods. But because I know New Orleans exactly, I would normally use a 6-block or 1 mile radius to start, depending on, you know, what area the address is. But I know on this particular address, I can't go out 1 mile because 1 mile puts the comps in another more expensive neighborhood. So I don't want to mislead you.
Right.
So you explain it just right. So I'm have to learn to use the map.
All right, so let's see. Let me make it wider. All right, so now as I pull my map out, it's pulling up for me the properties. So now my map is, I'm completely covered in the entire subdivision that this house is in. Go down here. So I can see my parameters, like I can see my boundaries for the subdivision. The only thing that I'm looking at is this area right here. Y'all see that? So just like this large rectangle that's in the middle is all that I'm looking at. So I'm not even looking at stuff over here, right? Because that stuff it's in a separate neighborhood. I'm definitely not looking at anything that's crossing a major street. Like this is South Kirkwood. I'm not looking at anything over here. You see this big line right here? That could be grass, that could be a ditch, that could be something. But what we do know is it's a separator from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. So we ain't gonna look at nothing over here, right? Starting off, we ain't gonna look at nothing over there. So we're just looking at the stuff that's in the middle right here. So now what you can do is you can check which ones that you want to focus on. So if I just want to focus on the ones that's in this middle, all right, so I'm gonna open it up, put a check. Okay, open it up. And what this does is now it's gonna reduce my list to just the ones that are in the vicinity of the house that I'm talking about. So it gives you a good visual. So obviously the most important comps are gonna be the ones that are closest to the property. And now you can clearly see which ones those are. Now, Tempest, have you asked him if he has an idea of how much he wants to sell his house for?
He brought me an offer that he actually got from Open Door,
Okay,
and
that's
it
good.
gave him between 273 and 293,000. But he decided not to go with that because he feels like his house is worth more. That's when he told me about the additions that he made. So he doesn't really have an idea. He just know more than the 293,000 if possible.
What if it ain't possible? If it's
I'm
not
about to say all sellers think their house worth more.
right, if it's
Right.
not possible, he just gonna go with the
Right.
Open Door. Like, what he gonna do?
It's their emotional attachment to the house.
They feel like
They stuff,
like their
yes,
house
they
is-
stuff worth more.
Mhm.
All right, so I picked all of one. Now it's pulling up rentals. In this instance, we don't really, well, and would he be willing to rent the house? Is that even an option for him? All right, because for some people, there's a certain number that they have to get, right? Because of the amount of money that they owe. And renting may be an option that they need to entertain. So in some instances, I do look at the rental and the sale. If I feel like I'm gonna run into that situation based on how I'm interviewing the seller and I'm talking to him, if I feel like I'm gonna run into that situation, then even in the initial market analysis, I'll have that number ready to go and say, hey, look, you know, if we're not able to really get the number that we need to get for you, then here's an option to where we can maybe rent the house out for you temporarily until maybe the market adjusts and you get some more equity into the home.
Yeah, he's selling in order to buy.
In order to buy. Okay. All right. So these are so we've gotten a visual of kind of how the layout of where the house is, the different neighborhoods that are around it. And what I do sometimes is I will even though I'm not going to use these comps, as y'all can tell, I'm very curious. I'll scroll over here to just kind of get an idea of what's like, is it a major difference between this neighborhood to this other neighborhood, right? So like that one's for sale 230. These are rentals. 221, 210, 193. So like he said, what, 290?
The highest was 293,000.
189. Like I'm not seeing that in none of these subdivisions. You might need to go with Open Door. Open Door don't know better. Now they got this one. This one's 650. That seems kind of odd. 749. I think this is property right here. This is a Brooks and Davis listing.
South Drive. Mhm.
Yeah, that's a
That's
Brooks and
actually-
Davis listing.
That's actually the house that he contacted me about initially, but it's already.
Oh, look at us. Look at us then. So you was on.
This is on my side of town.
So let's go. Look at Tempest was on the virtual desktop, pull this lead, and now she about to get her a buyer and a sale list. I'm telling y'all, man, y'all need to get on these opportunities we be throwing out here at y'all. Let's go. Let's go, Tempest. Yeah. All right. So this kind of gives you an idea of what I'm saying. So like on this side of town, this part of the area right here, these houses are going for way larger. Now you can look and you can tell that their lots are a lot bigger. That's what these little squares are. That's their land. So their lots are a lot bigger than what we're dealing with over here. All right. So that's another reason, Eric, why I look at the map, because the map is able to give me more of a visual of what's going on. All right. So now that we got our checks, now I'm gonna click results. When I click results, it's only gonna show me the ones that I checked. No, I mean, I'm sorry. It's gonna show all of them, but it's gonna show them with the checks on them. All right. So now, if I want to just look at the ones that have the checks, I don't want to look at all 86 of them, then I'll go to refine. Yes, refine. Yes. So here at the bottom, press refine and then just do narrow. And it's just going to give me the ones that I checked. So it's getting rid of all the other ones. Now, if I want to go back to the original one, you can do that right here where it says original results. When you click on original results, it'll take you back to the big list. So you're able to go back and forth. Now this is only showing 1 of 25. If you want to show more, you can do 100 and it'll show all of them on your list without just showing a few. Okay. All right, so we're going to narrow the list again. Boom. All right, so here we go. So now, this right here is the data that you want to use to kind of make a determination of what you want to do. All right, since we're not considering the rentals, we're going to kick them out and we're going to refine it again. We're going to narrow it again, so we can narrow the list again. All right, so now we're just dealing with properties for sale. All right, so now, you know what's the subdivision name? Is it Park Glen? That's another Park Glen.
Mhm.
I have the stuff up. Look, because all I had to do was go to, I already had Realist up, and it's right there. So Park Glen West, Section 3 is the section that we're in.
So you can take off the Learwood condo subdivision.
Right, yep, I can take that one off. Boom, so that one's gone. Get out of here. So they have a condominium that's in that kind of connected to that area, that subdivision as well. All right, so now we're all in Park Glen West. Now we're in Section 3. So you got Section 1, Section 2, Section 1, Section 4, Section 4. All right. You can also see trends within the sections. Like one section will be selling for more than another section, even though it's in the same subdivision. That's why you just can't do subdivision. Because if you just do subdivision, you may be missing some internal trends that's going on and it keeps your property on the market for longer. Or phenomenons. All right, so now one of the biggest challenges, so now what we're looking at, what do you say you want to sell? He had his offer for?
293,000.
All right. Does anything show us 293,000?
Well, we have one close. Is that 280? 240. On Stancliff? 280. But still not 293.
It's active though.
It's active.
Yeah, that's you know what I'm saying. So you can ask whatever you want. You can ask.
You can ask for exactly.
Right. As far as sold, no, the highest is the 240.
Now, so now look at this though. If there is a bright spot as it relates to your subdivision, what would that be? Even though he may not be able to get his price, what's the days on market telling us?
Days on market.
Yeah,
It's selling fast.
selling fast.
Yeah.
Right? So if we price it right, it'll move. Now, I would be curious about this property right here. What's taking this property so long to sell?
The price.
It's moving quick. Well, it's,
Might not be the price of Section 3.
well, it may
But
be.
you think the higher ones, lower twos, they was on the ones that sold, was on the market for a few days. The mid 200s was on that longer.
Well, here we go.
Or it could be the condition too, the condition of the home.
Yeah,
Right.
it could be other.
So we're gonna look at that, right? So, okay, so this one's 240, it's 27.99, so it's the largest house, right? This one sold for 240, so we know that people are willing to pay 240 and above, because this one paid 249, well, it's under contract for 249, but people are willing to entertain and pay at least 240 to live in the subdivision. That's another thing that you want to pay attention to, because, and that's why you've heard the term, it's never good to be the biggest house the biggest house in the area.
Yeah.
The reason that's never good to be the biggest house, because there are certain areas and subdivisions where it creates a ceiling for that area, meaning a person is only willing to pay this amount to live in this area. Regardless, it could be the Taj Mahal, but they're only willing to pay this amount to live in the subdivision. So you also want to see if we're experiencing that. Now, we may be experiencing that because we don't see anybody paying more than about 240. Even when we looked at those other subdivisions, not the one where those 600,000 square foot, I mean, $600,000 houses were. But in all those other subdivisions around, I didn't see anything above 240, right? So 240 may be a thing. But again, I'm curious. So I'm going to click on this one right here to see if I can get an idea of why this was taking so long. So it looks like the original price was 249. 27. All right, so it was under contract before and then it fell through. So maybe that's why. MoveTexasRealty.com. What's that? Let's see. Email offers and inquiries. Selling agent must accompany buyer to showing. Move Texas Realty, listing agents. Room size is approximate. Seller has no survey. You think this house huge? Wait until you see the size of the covered patio. Storage. Yeah, so it seems like the reason that it's on here, it's been on here so long is just because it was under contract and it fell through. Look at the pictures. It is
Okay, I can speak to that.
okay.
I actually had the house under contract and my buyer got really ill after taking a COVID vaccine and was hospitalized, and
Oh wow.
I didn't think he was going to make it. He wasn't working. And so we were about 3 weeks out from closing, and we had to retract our offer because the family just wasn't sure what was going on. Now, I can tell you it was very difficult communicating with that particular realtor all around. I mean, everything was a delay. It took us, once we finally got a verbal agreement, it took us about 7 days to get it completely executed. And so definitely, I feel like, first of all, it is overpriced for the area. It is slightly overpriced. Nothing's updated in the home.
Nothing.
I was very, very interested in that particular home, and it was a full offer. I mean, they were even willing to pay that amount. We were kind of hoping that maybe the appraisal would come back a little low and we can maybe make some adjustments from there, but we never even got to that point. And there is probably a little bit of a cloud, you know, once a home goes under contract and then goes back on the market, people's imagination just get away from them, you know?
Yeah.
They say, well, something must be going on with that house, but that agent is very difficult to communicate with also.
Wow. Okay. Well, look at boy, we got coincidences happening all over the place. So you are the answer, Kim. Of why the house
So
90 days.
Miss Kim, this is the house where you are under contract?
Yes, that house.
Wow.
And frankly, my client made a full recovery. Praise God.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was gonna ask you that.
really
Yeah.
wasn't sure he was going to pull out. He's gone back to work, and I'm just praying they don't want to continue to look at that house. I've been sending them other things. I'm just
You trying
praying
to
to God.
You trying to distract them? You trying to distract them?
Yeah. With something comparable or even better.
Yeah, absolutely. You got something better for them.
Because I'm looking at these pictures like this house is not updated at all.
Yeah.
It must
Yeah,
have
it's
just
not.
been in the neighborhood.
Well, the family that I'm working with is a refugee family, and they think that is the Taj Mahal. I'm telling you.
I'm pretty sure.
Hey, look, who-
Perception. That's why.
I was
That's
gonna
why
say.
us as realtors, we cannot
No.
put our subjective opinions on it. We got to just send it to them and let them go.
Yeah. Who are we to change their mind?
Right.
It's a family of 5 that lives in a 2-bedroom apartment. So you can imagine for them that is heaven.
Yeah, it is a Taj. It is a Taj Mahal. Trying to get it up.
They can eventually make their own.
Man, they trying to get some peace.
Yeah.
They wanted some space. Matter of fact, what probably attracted them was the size of it
Mhm.
Yeah.
because it's so big.
Yeah, we look at the pictures, it's
Alright.
like, wow.
Well, look,
It's a location.
Yeah, price and
area.
location. Well, look, Kim, tell them we got one right here on 10102 Newdale Drive. We can go ahead and sell to them.
It has a.
Newdale, is that on your,
Huh?
is that a listing with Brooks and Davis on Newdale?
Yeah, this is the one that Tempest right here is about to list.
Oh, okay, because I think I've been looking, I didn't see that one, but great. Send me some information. I'd love to put that to them. What is the square footage of it?
It's well,
That's what we're determining.
well, yeah, she got to go. We know it's at least 2,900 square feet.
And how many bedrooms?
Six bedrooms.
So
How many baths?
4.
6 bedrooms, 4 baths.
See,
is it
that's why
fair
they
that I'm
sell-
getting all this information
You say what?
as a buyer rep? I say, is it fair that I'm getting all of this information as a buyer's rep?
Well, no, I mean, it's all the information that we would put on the email.
MLS.
You talking from a pricing standpoint?
Right.
Hey. It's a
Well,
coincidence.
okay, it's about win-win. That's what it's about.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely. It's about.
My buyers are qualified for up to 240. So if we can work something out, hey, why not?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I think it absolutely works. Okay, so and then ultimately it's up to the seller to agree to whatever we determine as far as price anyway. We just going through a training. All right, so there's nothing that's showing me 290 is the number.
Yeah.
All right. So what would you, I'm gonna speak with some of my my vets. So I know I got Kim on here, Erica's on here, Sid's still on here. I said,
Yeah, no, I'm still here. I just walked away for a moment though.
all right, perfect. All right, so who wants to go first? Based on what y'all see, what would y'all feel would be a good pricing or a range? You can even give me a range.
I was about to say, Michael, when I give suggestions, because I'm not the appraiser, I give a range, right?
Yeah.
And because it's still ultimately up to the seller to decide what they price it.
Right, so
but
what range,
without
give me your
knowing-
range and your explanation.
Without knowing the condition of the home,
Okay,
because that's a factor.
right.
I would give a range from what I see. Let me see, what's active, was sold, was
Mhm.
active. So the active trend, the listen is up higher, right? So I would just give a range based on that. I would give a range of between 225 and 250. Simply, I would say 250 simply because the house is bigger. But as you already alluded, Michael, that it's too big for the area.
Mhm. Okay,
So I would give a range of between 225 and 250 without knowing the condition of the home. I'm just
Okay.
blindly.
all right, so 225, 250. All right, who's next? And give me your reason.
Okay, I came on a little late. I'm a little distracted. I was doing a couple things, so I didn't get all of the facts just listening in, but I would just throw in that when pricing a home, I oftentimes will try to have the conversation with the seller prior to even completing the market analysis, understand what their objectives and their motives are, certainly understand what maybe their outstanding balance may be on the home, if that does exist. And that kind of factors into what I may suggest based on what their goals are. And that is either, is it to get the most money because of a high balance or whatever the case may be? Or is it, free, they own it free and clear and they're more interested in selling it fast? And so, that would really determine, and because I didn't get all of the facts, I'm gonna just reserve a price range right now.
Gotcha.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
So now I mean, that's a great input that Kim just gave. You want to get them to tell you how much they own the property, right? Yes, a lot of times you just ask outright, how much you owe. But that is definitely some very valuable information that you need when you're considering pricing the house.
Michael, I just come out and asking for a statement, a mortgage, like a ask them to give me a mortgage statement or something. So,
Okay.
because what I do as a service, I complete a net sheet on them.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. If you're doing that seller's net sheet, they
Right.
gotta have that statement
What's your
payoff
payoff?
anyway. And every seller, their number one priority is to know how much I'm getting
Your
in my
bottom
pocket.
line.
So if you want to
Mhm.
know, then I got to get that payoff. So that's
Yeah.
that's a conversation that you got to have on that first meeting. But I'm the same. I stepped away for about 10 minutes. So what I'm hearing, what Erica talked about as far as knowing the condition of the property and obviously condition of the other properties, some people suggest even walking into those other properties just because pictures sometimes can be deceiving and you just never know. So when you're taking those comps that are super close, you actually want to walk into those properties that are around to see and then compare to yours. And I also pay a lot of attention to the price per square foot. I don't know if we went over that again. I stepped away a little bit. So that plays a huge considerable part of how I lead my clients. And then once you look at that price per square foot, you can kind of match that with the days on the market. And that's a conversation you can have. Well, hey, this house is listed here at this price, but look at the price per square foot they have. And they've been sitting on there for, 90 days because of that. So it's so much to weigh in. And again, I stepped away too, because I'm juggling a few things. So I apologize, but so I can't give that range either. I try to keep my range about $10,000 though. I try not to go, I typically, I'm one of those that listen, I drive for the money for my clients. So that $10,000, I'm gonna go from the top end and then I'm gonna drop it down about 10,000, and that's the range I give them. So if I know my top is 275, I'm gonna say, hey, anywhere from 265 to 275, because I know I'm gonna get that thing done.
So you're saying, when you say top range, you're saying, now this is sight unseen, or have you seen the?
No, that's based off of the comps. That's based off of me doing my due diligence and running comps. And no, I'm not talking about sight unseen.
Have you seen the inside of the property?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So before you give them that range, you will have seen the inside of the property.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Cedric. The only thing that
He feels like he could sell it for. Go ahead, Eric.
I agree with Cedric wholeheartedly. You have to see the condition of the home, and pictures sometimes are deceiving. Boy, these are photographers had them filters on and have it looking gorgeous. The only thing, the price was, I don't historically use price per square foot simply because it doesn't factor in in or out land, right? The value of the land. So depending on the size of the lots, that could be deceiving unless it's identical lot sizes. That's about the only thing. What do you think about that, Cedric?
Well, a lot of times on this MLS, the price per square foot that they have it as listed or as sold, they're talking about specifically just the price per square foot of the actual dwelling, the actual home. So when you're looking,
so she's saying the price per square footage may be different, but if one property is sitting on a super large piece of land compared to the other one, then that price per square footage number may not be as effective.
Absolutely. So for me,
Okay.
for me, I wouldn't even put that property in consideration. So if we're talking about a lot size of your average, 7,000-8,000 lot, and then you go up to a 15,000, 20,000. I'm not even going to compare those two for the most part. Just because now if I'm limited on my comps, then I'll throw that in there. But otherwise, I'm gonna just try to exit out if I have enough comps to go by.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, I'm going crazy, I guess, but I was looking for the price per square footage column, and I'm like, I don't see.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, see, they all over the place, so that's tough.
So it's not necessarily a method for price per square footage. I have a philosophy, or you can see the trends, right? So what you'll notice is that in most instances, the larger the house, the smaller
the price
per square footage.
Yeah.
And the smaller the house, the larger the price per square footage. So even if you're going to use price per square footage, you got to be careful because it's not a linear relationship.
Right.
Oh, let me take the price. So for instance, the price per square footage was $155 for this 1,400 square foot house. All right, so I'm just going to take $155 and multiply it by 2,500 square foot, and then that should be my price. Like, it's not a linear relationship.
See, now I got to get on the camera. So Mike, so I hear what you're saying there. So again, I might have missed this piece, but when I'm running my comps, what I do, like I'm like you, I'm very particular and very, very specific about those comps. So for instance, number one, I'm not going to run comps where it's even showing me a house that, like, if my property is 2,500 square foot, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of your properties are out of my comps. It's really
Cedric, do you stay within 20%? I try to do 10 to 20% of my
Yeah,
home.
yeah. So, and I normally just give it a quick number. So for me, I'll do about 300 to 400 square foot above and below. And
Yeah.
then and that's about it.
Okay.
Outside,
Mhm.
and then I don't pair up 2 stories with 1 stories. And again, unless I have no choice, if it's a 1 story, I'm going 1 story. If it's 2 stories, because I know that the 1 stories are traditionally range more in your price per square foot because of the slab, and you're paying for that slab. So I try not to match those up. So again, a lot of those comps I wouldn't have put on there just because it allows me to utilize that price per square foot the closer I get to properties that are replicas of the one that I am representing.
But let me ask you this question then, Sid. Looking at the list, because we base this list off of the proximity to the
Yeah.
property, right? Looking at this list, if you're talking about a 2,900 square foot property,
Yep.
which of these comps would you been able to use?
So right now I would have still used 1, 2, and 8. And I know 2 is far out of that, but you know, if you're trying to find something that's close, I would have still used those. Now
So-
again, let me see.
So-
Wait.
But that's what I'm saying. So 1 and 2 are active. 8 is sold. That's
Oh, yep.
your only sold property. But even then, you really can't use price per square footage.
Yeah. Well, let's see. You went from you said 29 to 24. I
Yeah.
can still use that. Yeah. I mean, it's way
Unless you
closer
round
than-
it to about 100, but I don't use price per square foot.
Yeah.
So
I use lot size, the square footage of the house, condition of the home, and proximity to the home. And
Yeah.
I take a range of those comps from my criteria.
So again,
Right.
typically
But
I
I've heard people use price per square foot.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
I've
I
heard.
factor that in there. That's a huge factor. And I typically I don't hardly ever look at lot size for the most part, because especially if you're in neighborhoods, I mean, you know, you're on 50,
It's
60,
probably are.
like, you know, that those lot sizes are going to be, especially if you're in, you know, built established neighborhoods, those lot sizes are going to be all similar for the most part until you get
So
out.
here, so like with this 2,900 square foot property, the lot.
But we're
on
not
it-
sure yet. We're not sure. We ain't got that. We haven't got
But no,
that.
it's at least 29 because the
Okay.
taxes have it at
That's right. Your taxes.
2930.
Okay.
So it's larger than we
That house is overbuilt for that neighborhood anyway. Child.
yeah, the house is
We
that's
went
the
too much.
issue you're gonna have. Yeah, see
Right.
the square footage is at 2930.
Okay.
The
Okay.
lot is at 8050. But the ultimate issue that you're gonna run into, and I don't, in my opinion, I don't think it's a right or wrong, right? At the end of the day, there are data points, right? There are data points that you're utilizing to come up with an opinion. Like a market analysis is an opinion of value. It's the same thing with the appraiser. It's an opinion of value. So we're just using information to come to a conclusion as it relates to this is what I would recommend that we're gonna sell it, that we could possibly sell it for, because you still don't know until you actually put it on the market.
Yep.
So, you know, especially for my newer agents, I don't want y'all to get tripped up on the exact details of the right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah, what it is that you want to get as much information and you want to use that information to come to a conclusion. And based on your conclusion, you're going to present that to your client and explain to them, this is how I came to this. Now, here's the reality. We don't know what's going to happen
Mhm.
until we actually put it on the market.
Yeah. And when that appraiser comes.
Yeah.
And when
we
that
don't know
appraiser
what's-
come, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the. But Erica said that the biggest piece is really what is the condition of the home in comparison to the condition of the other home, because every seller is going to think that their home is worth
It's
$1 million.
yes.
And the
Yeah.
reality, the longer you're in this, the more you know about how the flooring and upgrades and all these other things affect that price. And so what's the condition of your home? Because I've been in a situation where Mike and I talked about this, I think on our last coaching session, where I had to do an appraisal adjustment for a VA loan, and you got to justify why you are listing your property, at the price that you're listing it at in comparison to other properties. And it is very detailed. And so it's
man.
all about the condition of the property.
Yeah, man. Sid had to get me on the line.
Yeah.
Have you ever encountered? I'm sorry.
Now go ahead, Eric.
Cedric, have you ever encountered a seller that was just hard nosed and you literally, like I had this sheet of what describes a home that's excellent, good, you know, very good, good, fair, poor, and you know, and so it's like, okay, because you're going to be professional and be objective, right? Like your side fits and your face just have paint chips, it's not painted, and you know, if you're, you know, the baseballs, you know, just little things like that where you think your home is very good, but it's really considered average based on this sheet. So sometimes you got to pull that out for them. Your house is not in excellent condition.
Look at them. Like you over there pissing people off, guys. Feelings.
You know, Erica, in that situation, because I think if you're in the business long enough, you'll run into that. Again, as Mike said, you give your expert opinion, and then but as you know, it's up to the seller to make that final decision. And if they want to go over the top with their listing price, then that's something you document and you make it well aware. Like, this is my recommendation. This is where we're going to be. And then when that property sits for enough days, and then they come back to you and they're like, all right. But then now you're in a whole new situation, right? You got to drop the price, explain why, you know. But hey, that's part of the business.
So
you know what I do when we sign in the contract? My last point, when I know they want to overlist, I already know it, right? I had a form where you, because they have to sign again, adjust the price. Sign this form for me, please, because that way I don't even got to go back out to them. I have it already. So in 2 or 3 weeks when it's not moving, we don't have no activity.
Yeah, you can automatic, and there's forms for that. You can automatically make the price adjustment.
So here, okay. So based on my experience, right, when I was working with sellers, for the most part, most sellers don't do that. Like they know what you recommend, right? They're reasonable. Like most sellers, they're reasonable people. All right. So that just means you as a professional, you got to make sure your skill set is there to where you're offering them a price that you know is competitive in the market. So all right. Now, when you run into situations where you have people that are not as reasonable, a lot of times it's not because they're crazy. Sometimes they just need the information framed a certain way, right? Yeah. So for instance, your guy, it's going to be a tough conversation, right? Because he has in his mind 290. 293 is in his mind. Matter of fact, he has in his mind 290 ain't enough, right? Because he would have took the contract. So now you know what you're going up against. Well, based on what we see here, the reality is if Open Door is willing to buy that thing for 290, sell it to Open Door.
Yeah. So Mike, let me ask you: have we seen the inside of his home?
I haven't seen it yet, and I made it a point for me to go and see, because even though he feels like he can get more for his home because he added those rooms, you know, it's no longer a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, it's a 6-bedroom, 4-bath. He has 2 kitchens, he's got the pool. So he feels like, okay, my home is worth a lot more than that.
But the challenge, his challenge,
because there's also like 8 or 9 people living in the
house. Here's his challenge, right?
And they've been there for years.
Well, no, here's his challenge. Here's the challenge. And this is how I will frame it to him, because he's overbuilt the house. That's what Erica said. He's overbuilt it. Here's the reality. I would show him these numbers. And what's his name? Johnny? So based on it, because this is what my thought, even though Open Door gave him an offer for 293, once Open Door starts doing their due diligence, they're going to deal. They're going to back out. I already know they're going to do it. All right. So I would say, Johnny, based on what I'm seeing here, I'm actually surprised that Open Door is willing to get you under contract for 290. But if I was you, I would take it. But I want you to take this into consideration, Johnny. I've seen Open Door submit these high offers, tie the property up, get you under contract, do their due diligence, and then they either back out of the deal or they come at you with some dramatically reduced price. And now you wasted your time, you wasted your money. I've seen that happen. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm just telling you I've seen it happen. And based on what I'm seeing here, it's not making sense that they would offer that amount. But let me ask you this question, Johnny. The most a house has sold in this subdivision over the last 6 months has been $240,000. That's the most that any house has sold in this subdivision the last 6 months. What reason do you think that a person would come and pay $50,000 more for our property? Like what would give me your thoughts or your reasons on why somebody would do that? Okay, and then he's probably gonna come in, well, mine has 2 extra bedrooms, mine has 2 kitchens, mine has this, mine has that. He said, okay, well, look, Johnny, here's the challenge we're gonna run into. Even if we get somebody that's willing to do it, an appraiser is not gonna have information to verify our price. And if the appraiser doesn't have the information, then they're gonna come back based off of the info that they have, and they're gonna come based off of what I'm showing you right now. So now if you're an appraiser and you see this number and this is the information you have, how much you think you're gonna value your property based off of what you're seeing, right? So then now he's gotta answer your question, right? So then, even if he say, well, maybe 250, because it's a little larger, but it may be 250. I'm like, okay, so if the appraiser comes back at 250, but they're paying 290 or 300, then that means that buyer has to pay an additional $50,000.
And they ain't doing it.
Closing costs on top. Johnny, what are the odds that a buyer is gonna have an extra $50,000? Do you think that it's a high chance of that or a low chance of that? Right? So then he's gonna answer that question. Like, well, I'm extra 50 grand. Like, yeah, so I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, Johnny. I'm saying it's a possibility that this may happen. So we need to understand what adjustments we need to make if this thing happens, right? So I'm just kind of painting the entire picture to you, right? Because the reality is you probably want to sell this as soon as possible so you can go purchase your next home, right? So we want to understand all the circumstances that could happen right now. So if that happens, they're not able to have the 50 grand. Now we didn't wasted what, 45 days, got to put the house back on market. And now we're going back and forth, right? So these are some scenarios that could possibly happen. So with that being said, what's the absolute least amount that you would be good with selling your property for? So then I would take him to give me your bottom. You see what I'm saying? And then because now you work from that number, right? That's the number you begin working for. 290 is, he didn't have all the information before he came up with that number. Well, now I'm giving you all the info. So now that you have all the info, now tell me what your bottom number is. What's the absolute lowest that you're willing to sell a house for, right? And then from there, you can begin working to influence him. So it's about influence and persuasion. That's what sales is really, influence and persuasion. And the way that you influence and persuade people is that you utilize stuff that they're already influenced by. You utilize that. So you know he want to sell it, you know he want to buy another house. He's already influenced by that, right? You give them the benefit of the doubt that they're a reasonable, rational person, right? If you're having this conversation with a psychopath, it ain't gonna work. It ain't nothing you can say. They throw it off. But you want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt that they're a reasonable, rational person, right? And then, so now all you need to do is present the data, and you present the data in such a way to where it becomes painful to what they're trying to achieve, right? Here's the data. Appraiser looks at it. He ain't gonna have the information to justify a 290 purchase price. He gonna come back at 250. Now you gotta have the buyer to have 50 grand. What buyers you think out here got an extra 50 grand that they're gonna put on the purchase of your property? So now it prolongs the process. So now you go from selling your house in 30 days to selling your house at taking 90, 126 months. So now it's prolonging your situation that you buying another house. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, because we had the conversation, and I was telling him, like, basically with the way that the market works, the longer that it sits, eventually you may be prompted to do a reduction in price. So he was like, well, he's gonna get an inspection. His niece texted me yesterday that they're making an appointment with an inspector to, I guess, get the whatever it is that they can't see, because
but the reality is that before he even do that, please don't let him start spending money. Because if he starts spending money on the wrong stuff, then he's gonna start feeling some kind of way. So don't let him spend money. Don't let him spend money. Find out based on kind of what we've talked about, and I know Jess gonna help you with that and things like that. I'll help you with it as well. It's trying to frame the conversation of how you need to have it with him. But the reality is that you need to find out from him how much he owe and what's his bottom line number, period. What's his absolute bottom line that he's gonna go with?
I'm gonna get clarification on how much he owes, because he showed me from his lender. He said, I don't know what he actually meant, but he said his last payment is like $70. So he's pretty much at the point of paying off.
Paying off the house. All right, so yeah, we want to find that out. And then what you also want to do to help give you some ammunition when you go to have this conversation with him, you want to be able to provide him articles or other opinions of why it's bad to be the biggest house in the subdivision. Because right now he's the biggest house. He's overbuilt his house, right? But he doesn't understand what that dynamic or that that phenomenon looks like, right? So instead of you saying it, you don't want him to be mad at you. You're the friend. Me and you, we on the same page. It's this guy over here wrote this article that said that you overbuilt your house and you ain't gonna sell it. Like it's this article right here. It's that guy. They're the enemy, not me. I'm team you. Look, if we can sell it for that, I want to sell it for that. But these people saying we can't do it. Like, what we gonna do? Like, you see what I'm saying? So that's why you want to divert it to them people over there, not us.
Right.
We good.
Okay.
It's them over there saying we can't do it. All right, Eric, you got your hand raised?
I just wanted to get a copy of that. What was the address again?
For the house?
Yeah, I was curious. I was gonna look it up. That's all. Just curious.
10102 Newdale Drive. All right. Well, that's all I have. Any other questions, recommendations, comments? Before we shut this down, y'all go ahead and start eating y'all sandwiches. I'm about to put y'all to work.
Oh, okay.
I got to go pass the flies out.
I wanted your opinion on what would you list it for? What would you recommend to the seller?
Yeah.
I would tell the seller. I'll put it to him like this. I have not seen anything sell for more than $240,000 in the subdivision. I haven't. So because I haven't seen anything sell for more than $240,000 in the subdivision, anything over 240 is going to be a stretch because the appraiser is not going to have any data to pull from it. Now, how would that affect you selling your house for $240,000? I would ask him and then let him respond to me how it would affect him or how it would impact him if he sold his house for $240,000. You see what I'm saying? You hear me, Eric?
Oh, so you wouldn't give a range. You would
I wouldn't even give a range. I would say, look, based off of what I'm seeing, no house has sold more than $240,000 in this subdivision over the last 6 months, right? So what that tells me is that an appraiser is going to have is not going to be able to find the data to justify a purchase price, a sale price of a home above $240,000. They're going to have a hard time. They're going to be very skeptical on signing off on an appraisal for more than that, right? So my question for you is, how would you be impacted if we sold the house for $240,000? Because we know at 240, we're not going to have no problems, no appraisal problems. The house is going to sell. Everything sold in less than 10 days at that price point. How would you be affected if we sold a house for $240? And then I'll let him respond back to me. He may come back and be like, well, I got a bunch of equity in here. I see the data. It makes sense. I'll be good with $240. I'll still clear $200,000. He may say that. Or he may come back and be like, man, I can't sell it for $240. I mean, I at least need $270 because I got this mortgage here and this loan and I got to send my babies to college. So based on how he would respond to me saying, how would it impact you if we sold it for $240? Then that would dictate what my recommendation would be. Because we can't get $270. Like, we're not gonna be able to get $270. The only way we're gonna get $270 is this $280 float, and I don't think this $280 gonna float based on this active property. So that's how I would approach it. I wouldn't just come out right with, I would recommend 220 to 2. Like, I wouldn't do it like that. I would just say, now 240, we can move it for 240. Like, but how is that going to impact you at 240? And then go based off his response.
Right, because the houses that we were looking at that he was interested in, they were higher in price, and excuse me, it was I was under the impression that he wanted to stay within that price range that he got from Open Door to purchase his new home. But he was like, well, whatever the difference is, I'll pay it. And then when he told me, because his niece had to translate, so our conversations last a lot longer than they should, because I have to clarify a lot of
That's
things.
fine. Take your
So,
time.
he,
You got two, you got two transactions out of him. So you take your time.
So he was basically saying that because he said, well, I thought the house on South Drive was more. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? So we went to it and he pointed at the price and I was like, that's okay. And he said, yeah, that's good. And I said, oh, you're looking in that price range. He said, yeah. He just wants to basically get this home off his hands first. And
So
then
he want to upgrade.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I would just at the end of the day, as professionals, what I found the easiest way, the easiest route to success is just being honest with people. Like a lot of times we feel like people can't handle the truth. Like, oh man, he wants 290. I can't go in there and tell that man he can't sell his house for he can only sell his house for 240. I'm not going to tell that man that. Well, if that's the truth, that's what they rely on us for. Like they rely on us for our professional opinion, right? And as long as we present ourselves with credibility and we present ourselves as professionals, again, yeah, there's some tactical moves. Like I said earlier, find you some articles to, let them be the enemy, right? But that's still you telling him the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like don't kill the messenger, because they do kill the messenger. So you don't want to be killed. So don't be the messenger. Let somebody else be the messenger. And you be just as shocked as them. I can't believe they wrote this in here. Man, they sure did a lot of research though. I'm shocked. I never heard of this phenomenon. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta, be tactical about how you present the information, but you gotta go from a place of truth. And that's the quickest way that I've seen to any level of success with anybody. All right. All right. How y'all feel? Was this a good training?
Yes.
It was good. All right. 10%.
Thanks, Mike. It was awesome.
Oh no, the pleasure is all mine, all mine. All right. Do y'all have any other questions? If not, we'll shut it down. Let these young ladies eat so they can go put them to work.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. We'll talk to y'all later.